Okay, from my last video, which was called Opinions by Johnny Wankrag, there's a couple of comments that are actually really interesting. And so I thought I'd have a look at them in this video. First one there by Arjun Zedavart. Now, Arjun here is one of the resident trolls, has made in excess of 100 comments on the channel, all seeking to discredit. That Arjun Zedavart, it sounds a little bit like that Aryan motherfucker on the Lethal Weapon 2 film. But it's a valid point, okay? And that is, the info that I'm missing is the fact that for every driver, there's a race engineer tracking his GPS position with all of the drivers on track on a screen. In Lewis's case, it's Bono, Peter Bonington, who tells Lewis on the radio that he should expect Schumi Jr. to pass, and right thereafter Nikita follows him. Before driving on track, Lewis should have lifted to let them pass, and then he can safely drive onto the track. Now, that is a valid point. Now, let's have a look. Likewise, Mick McMaster has put, I actually agree with you here. It's the fault of the marshal, but the team should have told Hamilton Mazepin would be at pit exit. Now, I didn't go on to FP3 footage, and I certainly didn't even know whether during those FP3 practice sessions driver cam view was available. Not really bothered with practice stuff. Always considered the practice sessions to be the way that the different teams, different drivers do different things, which they know what they're doing, and ultimately it's not reflective of how they really perform in the race or qualifying, because they're doing the little program. So when people get excited, oh, such and such was fastest in FP1, I don't really care. All right, it makes no odds, because that's not a reflection of what actually happens in the race often. Anyway, unless obviously you're the fastest car and you're just the fastest all the time anyway. But anyway, I found it. I've had a look, and so we'll have a look. I'm going to do this at the times that Lewis exits the pits. Now I'll go through the different times he does this, and we'll just hear what's said. So this is the first time in that session that I can see. 17 minutes into the session by the looks of it. I will just double check, but this is the first one, or 17 minutes into the footage that is available on F1 TV. Where's it stopped? So as he's released from his garage, the camera footage starts. This is obviously looking back at Lewis, but let's pay attention to what he hears. What we're not going to see is the traffic light system in the pit lane, unfortunately.
And so it'll be all clear on exit. So all clear.
Okay. Now, try to get an impression for the speed involved. Now, it's difficult. We're looking back at Lewis now, so we've got to try and gauge engine tone, and then when we do get the forward-facing camera, try and make a visual assessment as to the approximate kind of the impression of the speed that he's going, and try and make comparisons of that with what we then see when he exits the pits and this situation with Mazepin occurs. Because again, what we get in that last video is Jenson Button trying to suggest that Lewis Hamilton was doing something out of the ordinary, going particularly slow. And what we can actually demonstrate, I would imagine, as we go through this, will be he was just doing what he always does. But let's have a look again, see if we can just get an impression for it. All right, just get a feel for what is actually going on. So he's gone up that slope, and then he's clearly easing off a bit. He'll have that white line to his right hand side as he's facing forward. We'll get in Bono, start talking to him now.
Circuit will be all clear on exit.
And you can see him like ease off a bit as he's then coming onto here, and the camera switches to the forward facing. And he's been told it's all clear by his race engineer. And he's followed the line, it's a very similar line to what he followed in the clip in the last video where the Mazepin situation occurs. And what he ends up doing in the Mazepin situation is pulling off the track here to leave the track space available.
So
And obviously clearly here he doesn't have to do that.
all clear.
One more time.
So all clear.
So all clear. Remember, it could be a 4-second lag prior to that audio being us hearing that audio. Hamilton might have heard that audio, for example, 4 seconds before we're hearing it on the screen, due to the fact that they do lag the audio of the spoken word. The audio of the engine note is live with the picture, but the audio of the radio communication seems to have about a 4 to 5 second delay, just in case they need to beep out any swearing. So just recap that again.
And circuit will be all clear on exit. So all clear. And you've got 14 seconds behind to Vettel, just completed a lap.
Okay, so that's what he's been informed by Bono. I'm now going to just pause this and find the next time that Lewis exits the pits. I'm glad I doubled back on myself to check. There is a previous instance of Lewis Hamilton leaving the pit, so let's have a look at that one. This is at 8 minutes 40 into the footage. Pit lane rev limiter. And then you can see that's where the white line that he's just crossed, where he is no longer bound by that pit lane speed limiter. Now, one of the things to bear in mind here is just understand the things that the drivers have to deal with here. The change in light situation is not necessarily the easiest thing to deal with. You know, when you're driving, this can be, you know, just something for your eyes to have to contend with. The driving, you know, from that tunnel into bright light is something that the drivers have to adjust to. And we're easing off the throttle to come round that bend. So again, look at what he's having to do.
On exit.
And he's eased off again to enter the track. So, just do it again.
On exit.
Okay, so that's that one. I'll try and find some more. Okay, this is Hamilton entering the pits, and well, just have a watch, see what happens.
+1.
Abraham, +1.
Start.
Don't do a pit stop, pull away.
Now you should have seen up here, there's another car that's just left its pit box and is entering the track as well. Now what would be common is if you want to give yourself a gap to that car, you're not going to be bombing it down the pit lane to re-emerge on the track. You're going to be leaving it a gap, which is what happens in both practices and qualifying. That's the dynamic of these things. So he's going significantly slower here, isn't he? Giving himself a bit of a gap, which is what they do.
So just going to have Mazepin completing a lap.
That's the reason we can practice a pit launch.
We can next time. You're going to have Mazepin car behind at 3 seconds. Just keep an eye out for him.
Look at the speed that he's going. He's not going fast, is he? He's being told Mazepin behind at 3 seconds.
Him. Now 1.5. So Mazepin car behind.
So, yep, been communicated. Lewis has stayed left. Just watch it again. He's not trying to bomb it out the pits as Jenson Button tried to vilify him by saying, oh yeah, he's normally they enter the track a lot quicker than that. It's Lewis's fault here.
So just going to have Mazepin completing a lap.
That's the reason we can
I mean, Lewis might have heard that 4 seconds before. We're hearing it now.
practice a pit launch.
We can next time. You're going to have Mazepin car behind at 3 seconds. Just keep an eye out for him. Now 1.5. So Mazepin car behind. And then next car will be Leclerc at 7 seconds. It looks like he's backed off.
Okay, so try and find the next one. Okay, let's have a look at this one.
Okay, so if we can have HPP 6 position 3. 6 position 3. And in terms of sectors, 10th and a half up, sector 1, 2/10 in the middle, 3/10 in the final. That's best sectors.
Pay attention to the speed that Lewis is going. And also listen to what Bono's saying.
You were 3 purple last time.
Okay.
And just keep an eye on exit for Gasly. He's 4 seconds behind. So Gasly at 3 seconds. He's just completed a lap, so yeah, 2.5 seconds to Gasly, but he's just completed a lap, backed off.
So what sort of speed is Lewis Hamilton doing as he's exiting the pits? Is that normal? I would suggest that's normal.
Okay.
And just keep an eye on exit for Gasly. He's 4 seconds behind. So Gasly at 3 seconds. He's just completed.
Is the line that Lewis Hamilton is taking normal? Yeah, that's normal.
Lap, so yeah, 2.5 seconds to Gasly, but he's just completed a lap, backed off.
So let's find the next one. Okay, this is the next one. This is at 43 minutes 17 into the F1 TV coverage.
Guidance of front tires. Outlet pace-wise.
So at the moment, just recommending to push a little bit more in the early corners. Just keep the rest the same. You're going to be all clear on exit. We are at the slower end of outlaps.
Okay, again, difficult to assess because of the switch in the front-facing and obviously driver-facing cameras. Looks to be a little bit faster than other times exiting the pits there.
Just keep the rest the same. You're going to be all clear on exit. We are at the slower end of outlaps.
But told by race engineer, all clear on exit. So we'll find the next one. We'll have a look at this one.
Yeah, put +1.
Okay, copy.
This one's at 49 minutes 37 seconds. If you want to follow this on your own F1 TV.
Improved?
Negative, not at the moment. So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind, then Mazepin 2 behind him. So Schumacher, then Mazepin. Schumacher with you now, Mazepin car behind.
Tried to get out of the way, but...
Okay, copy. Next car, Latifi at 5 seconds.
So, whose fault is this? Whose fault is this? What we have to try and do is say Lewis is getting this information, say 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds before we're hearing it. What can he do with that information? He's been released from his pit box. He travels down the pit lane at lane limited speed. He's got to go, down under that tunnel, up and onto the track. Well, what's he doing wrong? Imagine whenever we hear Bono's voice, Lewis is probably receiving that information 4 seconds before. So, because he's receiving that information, does that mean he's holding off the throttle? Because he's like, well, I've just been told somebody is 4 seconds behind me, so I'll just hold back here. So is that another reason why he's not gunning it out of the pits to get in their way?
Anyone improved?
Negative, not at the moment. So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind, then Mazepin 2 behind him. So Schumacher, then Mazepin. Schumacher with you now, Mazepin car behind.
Look at the line of... Look at what he's being told. If he's being told Schumacher and then 2.5 seconds Mazepin, is Lewis going, okay, there's 1, 2.5, expecting Mazepin to then follow Schumacher? Because that's what I'd be thinking.
Improved?
Negative, not at the moment. So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind.
So there's 3 seconds behind. Oh, and there he is there. Okay, so you can see this notion of Schumacher 3 seconds behind while he's in front of him now. And then we get, and Mazepin 2.5 seconds behind him. So within 2.5 seconds, we should be seeing Mazepin doing the same thing. 2.5 seconds.
And Mazepin 2
1,
behind him.
2.5. Right, Lewis is here. Schumacher wasn't where Lewis's car was. Why isn't Mazepin following Schumacher's line?
Then Mazepin.
Is there space for Mazepin to be?
Schumacher.
Lewis has dived out the way. What? Look at where Schumacher is.
So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind. Then
3 seconds behind. Well, there he is there, as Lewis is being informed of that. Now, it's difficult to assess Schumacher's exact position on the track, but now 2.5 seconds after this moment here, Hamilton's waiting because he's just being told that 2.5 seconds after that, you've got the next one that's going to be there doing that.
Mazepin 2 behind him. So Schumacher, then Mazepin.
Again, count this yourself. Count this yourself.
So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind. Then Mazepin 2 behind him. So Schumacher, then Mazepin. Schumacher.
2 seconds behind. Sorry, I said 2.5, didn't I? Well, where is he? Lewis has stayed left. Just watch out. All right, I'm watching now. Staying left. Focus on where Schumacher goes.
So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind. Then Mazepin.
Which is there. And then 2 seconds after him. Try and look at where Schumacher's going.
Pin 2 behind him. So Schumacher.
Well, 2 seconds behind Schumacher. Somebody should be about there now and should have come up that line and should be getting to about there.
Then Mazepin. Schumacher.
And Mazepin's snuck in behind Hamilton. Count that again.
So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind. Then Mazepin 2 behind him. So Schumacher. Then so just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind. Then Mazepin 2 behind him.
2.
So Schumacher, then Mazepin.
At the end of me counting to 2, you should have had a car zooming through there. Didn't happen, did it? Count it yourself. When should Mazepin have passed Hamilton? 2 seconds behind that car of Schumacher.
So just look out for traffic on exit. Going to have Schumacher 3 seconds behind. Then Mazepin 2 behind him. So Schumacher, then Mazepin.
What's Hamilton doing wrong?
Schumacher with you now. Mazepin car behind.
Trying to get out of the way, but
Okay, copy. Next car, Latifi at 5 seconds. It looks like Latifi has backed off. So no pressure from behind. Maybe Latifi not backed off. Just keep an eye on Latifi. He's at 2 seconds. Yeah, now looks like he's backed off.
So, is Lewis Hamilton doing anything wrong? Is he getting fed the information and then responding to the information that he's been fed? You can't see everything. None of these drivers can. They are reliant on the information being fed to them by their race engineer. Was that race engineer giving him accurate information? Well, he told him about Schumacher, and then he told him that 2 seconds behind Schumacher was that car. Now, if we go back a little bit, let's have a look to see whether the tracker view works for this. Let's have a look here.
no, and smash.
Okay, so this is showing Hamilton here, if this is right.
Didn't he? Just the lap time came so effortlessly for him.
Well, you would never go over the minimum tyre pressure that you're given.
No.
You certainly wouldn't want to when the rears are 21 psi to start with. That's very true. So there's Hamilton out on the track, going for a fast lap again, and the rear end just not sticking and getting away from him. And Mercedes struggling with overheating rears.
Rears are very hot.
As Hamilton relayed back to the pit lane, 16.5 minutes to go in this session. Hamilton fastest by 7.5 tenths. We can go down to the Red Bull pit wall though.
Well, we can see the commentators are commentating on replays, not that incident of Hamilton coming out of the pits. So you can see Schumacher and Mazepin, the white dots there. Hamilton coming down the pit lane onto the track. Obviously, this is all that we get from Tracker.
When the rears are 21 psi to start with. That's very true.
Right, so again, let's try and... Hamilton is told Mazepin 2 seconds behind Schumacher. Right? So let's just look at that again. When we see the first white dot past Hamilton's dot, let's count the seconds.
You certainly wouldn't want to when the rears are 21 psi to start with. That's very true.
One, two. That ain't 2 seconds, is it? Let's count. One, two, three, four.
So there's Hamilton out on the...
Well, it's not the information is being fed, is it? Whose fault's that? Is it Lewis Hamilton's fault? Is that punishable by a penalty? Was he driving in a manner which was a danger to other drivers? Well, no, none to any of that. And this is the notion of everything is grounded in context. And this is again the notion of rules, laws, and why we need to. You cannot have a solid set of parameters without any regard to context. Okay, this is why there is the notion of certain things which are judgment calls, where you make an assessment of what's going on and therefore whether a penalty is applicable or not. And clearly that's not a situation where Hamilton has committed an infringement that is guilty of a penalty. He's not done anything that is in any way neglectful, dangerous, or willfully done something that has impeded another driver. He's responded to the information he's been fed. Bono, his race engineer, has fed him information which, you know, according to whatever data Bono, you would think that Bono's got this tracker view. You would think that Bono could make the assessment of the position. I mean, would data say this? Let's have a look at what data view is telling us.
Going for a fast...
Let's go back a little bit in terms of the gaps. But is this now? See, the gaps here are just on lap time, aren't they? They're not on the gap position around the track, unfortunately. So that, you know what I mean. So you can't assess it from that. Is this on their current lap for sectors? Mazepin there. No, I don't think it is.
You certainly wouldn't want to when the rears are 21 psi.
Oh, it is. So where you got Mick Schumacher there, these bars extend across here as they go round the parts of the lap. Now, I don't know whether we can assess the, you know, when Mick Schumacher's bar extends to the next one, how long is it before Mazepin's bar extends to that point in time? Let's see if we can do it.
Start. That's very true.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we can count, can't we? We can count that Mick Schumacher's bar progresses, and then you start counting from that point, and it takes about 4 seconds before Mazepin's bar progresses to the same point. So you can work out that he's about 4 seconds behind. So why Bono only thinks that that's 2 seconds, I really don't know. How good are you, Bono? Pretty shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
So Lewis Hamilton
4,
out on the
5,
track,
6.
going for a fast lap again.
Well, because Mazepin's not reached there because he's had to hold up behind Hamilton. So do it again. Here's Mick Schumacher. Okay, that's his thing. Mazepin is completing that. So Mazepin's bar, this yellow strip here, will deplete down to 0 again and then start catching. Well, we'll see the time lag between Mick Schumacher's bar and how Mazepin's bar catches up. Let's have a look.
So when the rears are 21 psi at the start.
2,
That's very true.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1. Sorry, my counting error. Let's do that again. Okay, so what we'll do, Mick Schumacher here, and let's see, can I zoom in on this? Let's try and see if I can do that. Just make it a bit clearer for everybody to follow. So what we're focusing on is MSC, this bar here, and then Mazepin, this bar here. Okay, and this bar will progress along here, and we are waiting to see when this block catches that block. All right, that's what we're doing. Let's play it.
For him.
Well, you would never go over the minimum tyre pressure that you're given.
No.
Okay, so we'll wait until, well, that's just arrived, so we can start counting now if you want and see when this one reaches the green. Okay, and we'll do it every increment, and we'll start with a 1. So 1.
You
2,
said you wouldn't want to when the
3,
rears are 21
4,
psi at
1,
the start.
2,
That's very true.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I've done the same thing again, haven't I? I've started counting 1 before I've got Mick Schumacher as there. Let's do it again. Be less shit. Here we go.
Never go over the minimum tyre pressure that you're given.
I'm trying to pause it for when Mick Schumacher literally begins this and it goes green. We're nearly there.
No.
1, 2.
You said you wouldn't want
3,
to when the rears are
4,
21 psi at the start.
2,
That's very true.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
So
3,
Lewis Hamilton
4,
out on the
5,
track,
6.
going for a fast lap.
It's about 4, isn't it? It's about 4. Just counting the way I've done, it's about 4 seconds behind. Bono's telling Lewis it's 2. So, he's relying on information from his race engineer. His race engineer can't work out the difference between 2 seconds and 4 seconds because he's piss poor. But, you know, that's what Lewis has had to deal with. So what? You're going to give him a 10-second penalty for that? What line was Mazepin on? What line was Schumacher on? What else could Hamilton have done? What could he have done? Is there not a better way of dealing with it? You know, surely, if your driver is heading down the pit lane, when you're looking at tracker view,
Going for a fast lap.
then surely you look at this section of the track. Let's go back. Surely, what you want to look at is, okay, how long does it take to get your driver from the pit box, Okay, let's just play it.
Something does change, clearly. Something on this set of tyres he's not happy with, because from the moment he's left the pit, it's not looked as comfortable as the previous set.
So Hamilton's here. His dot has just appeared, and that, I guess, is where the pit lane limiter gets knocked off. And surely what you want to do is, when you are releasing your driver from a pit box in practice or in qualifying, you want to leave it so that, see this big gap behind Latifi, you're releasing him into this gap. So you go, okay, where, for example, Mick Schumacher is there, we've got to make sure that, let's wait till Latifi gets there. In fact, because we've got to, Hamilton's pit garage was where Giovinazzi is now, near the start of the pit straight. Maybe what you've got to account for is that, well, you do have to account for the time it takes him to go down there to get to where he is now, which means during that time Mick Schumacher would actually have started here. So as race engineer, you're going to go, right, of all, Latifi's made it to there, Lewis. Right, off you go. You can be released from the pit box. Pootle down the pit lane. Down here, up here. And by the time you're up here, Latifi's cleared in front of you. You're being released into fresh air. You know you're releasing him there when these drivers are here. You know that he's going to emerge onto the track with these cars here. These cars here are going to be passing the pit exit. You're releasing him into that traffic. Now, where are your management of that? Surely, you know, if where the pit exit merges with the track, you're on a bend, and the racing line of those cars sweeps from across to here, well, you've got to manage that better. I mean, it's a piss poor track layout where you're merging in like that, really. But you know, there's lots of different things that you can point the finger at and say, where does the problem lie here? But ultimately, you've got to assess the conduct and the whether that is neglect, whether that is neglect would be a reason why you're guilty of an infringement. Poor information can lead to you being guilty of an infringement. Recklessness. The information was poor. The planning was poor. But what the driver's done isn't. He's had to place his trust in those around him. Now, obviously, when it comes to then desires, those people that would desire for him to be punished will be screaming that he should be punished for that. But should a driver be punished for that set of circumstances? You know, Jenson Button projecting that it's Hamilton's speed on exit of the pits as being a contributory factor to that. Well, when he's being told that you've got Schumacher, beware of Schumacher, he is X amount of distance behind, and then just 2 seconds behind him is the next guy. Well, Hamilton is clearly taking it easy, waiting for Schumacher, and then is expecting within 2 seconds Mazepin to go. That doesn't happen. So in the 2 seconds, Hamilton is covering ground, albeit at slow speed, but that is changing the available track room for Mazepin. Hamilton's not going to kind of do an emergency stop. He's trying to merge onto the track, being given the information. He's being told, you got a guy and then 2 seconds behind him is another guy. Okay, there's the first guy. I'll carry on to the left because that still leaves the space for the other guy. And that didn't happen. Where he's travelled in 2 seconds is to one point, but 2 seconds after that, he's in a different point of the track. And that different point of the track, based on the curvature of the track, means that the other guy is now wanting to be in that area of the track, that Hamilton has kept over to that side with the expectation that he needed to leave the right-hand side of the track free for the other guy to be in. But the other guy was further back. And in covering that ground, it then moves you to a point in time where the guy on a hot lap is racing line, moves him further left. Has Hamilton done anything wrong? The answer is Hamilton's not done anything wrong. The information from his team is not great at all. Bonington, piss poor. Absolutely piss poor as a strategist race engineer. Diabolical. But, you know, whether this uploads, we'll wait and see. Hopefully that's just giving you a little bit of information. I know this is a bit of a shit video as these go. I've not put any planning into this. I just literally accessed the FP3 footage, and then I've been fast forwarding along to each of his pit box releases to try and show you what I'm seeing and trying to make sense of it as we go. But hopefully you've been able to follow. Hopefully it's been useful information, and hopefully it's given you some of the considerations that we need to be thinking about in terms of, you know, what the dynamics that are facing these drivers, what the dynamics that are facing the teams, and what constitutes the award of penalty for infringement. Now, if somebody is purposefully being neglectful, such as being slow on the racing line, impeding other drivers, well, you've got a responsibility that where if you're slowing down, okay, easing off, not on a hot lap, you've got to leave the racing line available to the drivers that are. So if you're not, well, you're guilty. It wasn't that kind of thing. You have got to make sure that you join the track in a safe manner, but also there should be a responsibility for the track to not put drivers in a situation whereby, you know, a slower car coming out of the pits trips up a faster car on that area of the track. Cars do come out of the pits at a slower speed than racing speed. The speed of closure between them two vehicles then travelling at those different speeds is massive. You know, you must then make it such that either you change the track layout or you inform teams that you've got to ensure the safe release of your drivers. They won't be up to racing speed because it's not mandatory that they have to be when they're just in free practice sessions. To some extent, they might want to be looking after the tyres to save them for qualifying in the race. So they're going to be easing them in. And therefore, it's down to the teams to time their release from their pit box and make sure that they're released at a point in time where they're not arriving there at the same time as another car on a hot lap. But then that's not straightforward, because these cars here, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, Alonso, the time that they'll get to turn 3, well, that's going to vary, isn't it? Because it's going to vary depending on whether they ease off. They might be on a hot lap now, cross the start-finish line and go, yeah, done that lap, I'm now chilling. So that's not straightforward. You know, this is just something, like I say, I'm thinking on my feet here. I'm saying that, as I've said earlier in the video, that Bono should have been saying, right, let's wait till these cars get to here, and once they're past this moment here, that should mean that they get around here and through past turn 3, and therefore they're gone past turn 3 by the time Hamilton is there. So we'll time his release to correspond with that. That doesn't work if they're going round here, get to there and ease off, because now they're going a lot slower. And then what? Or it might be they're going slow around here, to then go, right, he's going slow, right, let's build up for a hot lap. Coming round there, and now we floor it. It's not straightforward. It's not that straightforward, is it? Or they might come down here, get it wrong in turn one, ease off, but then get back on it. And so, again, so many things.
He just went out and smashed it, didn't he? Just the lap time came so effortlessly for him.
Well, you would never go over the minimum tyre pressure that you're given.
No.
You certainly wouldn't want to when the rears are 21 psi to start with. That's very true.
And does Mazepin appear to get slower? At what point does Bonington decide that Mazepin is within 2 seconds of him? And then it becomes 4. So this distance here.
Pit. It's not looked as comfortable as the previous set. He just went out and smashed it, didn't he? Just the lap time came so effortlessly for him.
Well, you would never go over the minimum tyre pressure that you're given.
No.
2, 3.
You certainly wouldn't want to when the rears are 21 psi to start with. That's very true.
3 and a bit. You see, coming around 15 and 16, Mazepin looked within 3 seconds of Mick Schumacher. By the time they get to turn 1, turn 2, he's about 4 seconds behind him. So at what point is Bonington looking at the data and making that assessment of the information to then pass it on to Lewis Hamilton? Oh, I don't know. It's all bollocks, okay? You could go into we're being fed the information that we're being fed with this data set that is accessible to us. You would think, in fact, if I was a race engineer, I'd demand something that was better, so you're just not working off fucking blocks, all right? You'd actually get accurate timing, and you'd actually get the actual information and know at the points in time where to read that information to then be able to relay that to your driver. All right? But again, we're just trying to do this by going off this shit that's available to us. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I did. What a load of shit. But it just does show you. It just shows you that we get the commentators want to present it a certain way, vilify Hamilton, tell us that Hamilton should have been going faster. This is like Saudi, where Mazepin also had to slow down so that, because a Mercedes was impeding him. Look how they want to present it. Incite the fanboy. Oh, should Hamilton be getting a penalty for this? That will appeal to the fanboy, won't it? That want to see Hamilton get done down, rather than just say, yeah, something's not right there. Something's not right there. Anyway, thanks for your time. That will do.